Hello and welcome back to the Google Workspace Update podcast from Strawberry 7. My name is Adam.
And my name is also Adam.
We're here to bring you the latest updates around Google Workspace. This audio podcast is available from your normal podcast provider or is available in video format from our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. Let's get to it.
On with the show. Right, first up, the first three little updates. They're tiny little updatelets, actually. So these all came on the back end of last week, so we don't have a huge amount of information about them, but let's jump in. Right, so the very first one is to do with Google Keep. So there are now new keyboard shortcuts available for Keep. So in continuing Google's effort to provide a top-class user experience on large screen devices, they've released updated keyboard shortcuts for Keep on Android that better align with the web experience. If you have a keyboard attached to your Android device, you can see a list of keyboard shortcuts in Google Keep at the top left menu, then go to keyboard shortcuts.
Oh, interesting. So that's kind of a bit exclusively for Android devices there, Adam. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Yeah, what's the next one?
Next one, enhancing spell check in Google Docs. So words where the spelling is not recognised will now be underlined in red, even if there is no suggestion. When you click on such a word, you'll see it labelled as an unknown word. From here, you can choose to add the word to your personal dictionary or ignore the suggestion. This improvement will highlight more potential spelling errors, helping you to write correctly with confidence. So just note that that particular feature is only available in English at this time.
That's quite interesting. I didn't actually know that the spell check didn't highlight words that it didn't recognise. Have I got that? Am I understanding that right? That it's words that it doesn't even know that they're misspelt. It's words that it just doesn't recognise at all.
Yes. So essentially, if Google just doesn't really know what to do with a word, it's going to highlight it. And so I was testing it around with a surname, for example. So my surname in particular, that would always get flagged as being spelt incorrectly.
Yeah.
However, when I actually tested this with my surname, it was not coming up as being spelled incorrectly, but I wondered if that was maybe because I was actually signed into Google with my Google account, so it actually already knows my name. So I tried some other surnames, which I thought would surely come as being flagged as being spelt wrong, which they were, and then I had the option to just say, no, this word is actually correct, and so I can add it to my library, so then it wouldn't constantly be flagged as being spelt wrong.
I see. Okay, that's very handy. Okay, no problem. And what's the next one?
Next one, improving hearing aid support for Google Meet on Android. So this should be really good for anybody that's using a hearing aid. So Google has expanded Google Meet hearing aid support on Android devices to recognise a wider variety of hearing aid devices. So Meet will automatically default to using hearing aid support when they're connected. You can also select hearing aids during a meeting from the audio settings menu. If the hearing aid has a built-in microphone, this microphone will be used. If it doesn't, the mobile phone or tablet microphone will be used. So this will present itself. So when you're within a Google Meet, you can select what your microphone and your speaker, but there'll be a new option that it just says hearing aid. So I think that'll be really helpful for anybody that does use a hearing aid.
Wow, that's really nice. What a really nice enhancement to have for anybody who's in that situation of, like you say, using a hearing aid, to have it actually as a specific device that you can allocate to when you're in the meeting as the device for either the microphone or the speaker. Yeah, that's going to be really, really handy. So, like you say, mainly on...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I really like the fact that it lists it as a hearing aid, as the device itself. It doesn't say a quirky name of the microphone or a quirky name of the speaker that I'll be playing to. It literally says it's a hearing aid with an icon of a hearing aid, just to make it really clear and easy and simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I was just going to say that it's mainly support on Android devices for that. So again, kind of looking at those people who are on those mobile or those tablet devices. Yeah, that's going to be, I think you're right, Adam, that's going to be very, very useful for somebody who's in that situation. Okay, great. So have I got that right, that those are the three little updatelets? I like that term, updatelet. Those are the three little updatelets. Is that right? And we're going to move on to the main sort of updates now?
Yes, so because they all came out at the tail end of last week, so I don't have exact times or dates or availability for those. However, because we can see them, that means that they're either available right now or they should be visible within the next 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Great. That's brilliant. Okay, no problem. I thought as well for our listeners, Adam, what we might do to sort of make it a little bit clearer is on our next updates that we're going to do here. When we talk about the availability, why don't we for our listeners say who it's not available for, and it might just make it a little bit easier to sort of speed that up a little bit, that section, because sometimes it could be available for quite a lot of different sort of ones. But if we say maybe who it's not available for, or who it's just available for, depending on how, which has the shorter list, as it were, I think that might be quite useful. So yeah, let me. I won't interrupt you anymore. Let's get into those updates.
Okay, so next up, this update is all to do with Google Drive. So improved flow for expiring access control in Google Drive. So you're not now able to set an expiring access when sharing files in My Drive. So this update improves the existing expiring access capabilities by allowing you to add an expiration when sharing, as opposed to after the person already has access to the file. Additionally, you can now add expiring access for editors as opposed to just for viewers or commenters. So this update makes sharing across Google Workspace more secure by making it easier makes it easier to specify when a given collaborator should lose access to a specific file. This is especially useful in cases where a file creator or editor knows their collaboration with another person is time-bound. With this security feature, you don't have to go and clean up the file's access control list afterwards. You can
set it at the time, yeah. I really think this is a very, very useful update because we said on one of the earlier podcasts, I mentioned how I wish that Google would improve on their reporting a little bit, where you could basically go into the reports in the admin console and say, hey, can you show me all of the files that I've shared externally, everything that I've shared with anybody or anything that I've shared outside. And there doesn't really seem to be that feature within Google reporting, certainly not at the level that we operate at, either within Business Standard or Education Plus. But this is super useful in those situations like you've described, where you need to give somebody access to a file, but you know that they only need it for a certain amount of time, and you know that after that time you don't want them to have access anymore. What a useful update. That's very, very handy.
Yes, definitely. So you'll also be able to set expiring access to files when sharing files in My Drive on Android by the end of November. So for Android devices, it's not available just yet, but coming soon to My Drive near you.
Brilliant. That's amazing,
also,
Adam.
This feature will be on by default for everybody and also cannot be turned off. So this is a mandatory update.
You will have this update. Okay,
Yes.
No problem. And when are we looking at that? And who is it for or not available to? I think it's a bit of a split list on this one, but yeah, who is it? Who is that for?
Okay, so rapid release and scheduled release is starting on October the 31st. 2022. So this is not available to Google Workspace Essentials, Business Starter, Education Fundamentals, the Teaching and Learning Upgrade, Frontline, as well as Legacy G Suite Basic and Business customers. This is also not available to users with a personal Google account.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Targeting those sort of business users, those slightly higher end business users. Again, it's kind of another update that we're seeing that's super useful, but only available in Education Plus. Really only available in those, higher level sort of education.
And business too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Available in business, but when you're talking about education, sort of not in education fundamentals, but is in standard and is in plus, and sort of those slightly higher level functionalities. I mean, if you are listening from a school or you take care of a school, I really think that this would be a feature worth considering, because it's so important to keep control of that data. And you know what it's like in that live environment. You kind of give somebody access, you don't really think about it when you're giving them access necessarily, but that builds up over time and suddenly you don't know who you've given access to what. So if you can at least set a time, say, okay, I'm going to give access for a month, a week, whatever it is, at least you know that they're not going to have access indefinitely. They're not going to have access forever. So I think it's an update very much worth considering if you don't have one of those versions. Thank you, Adam.
I agree. I was also just going to say, I think it's much better that you have somebody come back to you and say, I used to have access to this file, can I please have access again, instead of just sharing stuff indefinitely.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Adam. Absolutely, very good point. Great, what have we got next?
Right, next up, this is to do with Google Sites. So instead of an update, this is more of a reminder. So this is a reminder to migrate your classic Google Sites before January. So Google are extending the previously announced timeline to give Google Workspace customers more time to migrate from classic Google Sites to the new Google Sites. So on January the 30th, 2023, which was previously December the 1st, 2022, so you have approximately an extra 2 months, Google will begin to turn off the ability to edit any remaining classic sites in your domain. Your classic sites will remain viewable until the automatic conversion. After January the 30th, 2023, which was previously January the 1st, 2023, so 1 extra month for this one, Google will begin to automatically convert all remaining classic sites to new sites, drafts for site owners to review and publish, and export static archives to Google Takeout. Your classic sites will be deleted after they are converted to the new sites. So until January the 30th, 2023, admins and site owners can manually convert classic sites to the new sites using the Classic Sites Manager, where they will export classic sites using Takeout and then delete the classic sites. Review your domain settings prior to January the 30th, 2023 to ensure a successful migration. So you can also refer to the CSV file in the Takeout export for any classic sites that were unable to be converted. So I think it would be really important just to double check that CSV file, so in case any of your sites do actually have any errors or it can't be converted automatically for whatever the reason, double check that just so then you're not disappointed. You will be notified once all the sites in your domain have been migrated, and Google says that this may take multiple months for your domain, depending on the number and complexity of your sites. In the meantime, you can check the status of your sites in the Classic Sites Manager. So if you do have lots of sites, start sooner rather than later, basically. So we have a handful of months to before this all takes effect until the end of January, but that's not too long away. So if you do have lots of sites, then get stuck in converting them, basically.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. And we've got a bit of a process there, but I thought what would be easiest is we always put a link to our document which we read from, that Adam very kindly prepares from the Google Update site. So there'll be a link, and in there'll be this getting started bit, which gives you an idea of how to actually do this and how to move your sites across. So I think it would probably be best if we give people that link, Adam. They can have a look at that if it's relevant for them. And this is available for everybody, I think, isn't it?
Yes, this is going to be available to all Google Workspace customers, as well as Legacy, G Suite, Basic and Business customers. If anyone does look at the link, by the way, there's a few things on there that Google recommends that you do follow, just to help give you a nice smooth transition from the classic sites to the new site. So it's definitely worth having a look at that, just to make sure that it's nice and smooth as possible.
Great, thank you, Adam. If anybody has access issues getting to that or wants any more information, just drop us an email to info@strawberry7.com and we'll be happy to help you out there. What's the next update there, Adam?
Right, next up, this is to do with Google Sheets. So you can now manage projects and tasks in a new timeline view on Google Sheets. So to extend the power of Smart Canvas, Google is introducing an interactive timeline view that allows you to track projects in Google Sheets. This new visual layer displays project information stored in Sheets, such as the task start and end date, description, and owner. The timeline view enables you to easily interact with project information and can help you manage things like marketing campaigns, project milestones, schedules, cross-team collaboration, and more. So by clicking on a card within the timeline, you can view more information about the project in the sidebar. You can also view your timeline at various time intervals, such as the day, week, month, quarters, year, and or multi-year too.
Ooh, okay. This is really interesting to me because I have done this in Google Sheets, but I've had to do it manually because there was no function, there was no project function, and I had to create a manual kind of Gantt chart. For anyone who's not familiar, that's like they're typically used in construction for construction projects to show sort of things moving along in a time. So you have your projects down the left, you have your date across the top, and then you sort of put in these blocks. And I had to do that all manually and use different colours depending on how the project was moving along. So I'm really looking forward to being able to use this feature for our projects to be able to, sort of set a timeline of when we're going to do these sorts of things. I wonder if we could use this sort of thing as well, Adam, for our school holiday projects that we have coming up as well. Maybe we can use this for for doing that. I think you've got a little bit here about how people can kind of get started with that, right?
Yes. So to create a timeline, so within Google Sheets, navigate to Insert, Timeline, select a date range, configure the attributes in the timeline settings sidebar. Then once created, you can view the timeline at different time intervals, jump to the current date, change the visual appearance of the timeline by adjusting spacing or using colours and more. So the visual that Google have given us is just as you described, and it's a little bit like turning Google Sheets into a calendar where you can see all your times, and so then you can add in whatever you need. But
Again, it's really sort of making use of those other things that we've talked about in the updates that Google just keep sort of bringing these different aspects that they have together, like the cards, like the chips, like the use of now these timelines. You can kind of combine it all together into creating this really, really collaborative but also connected workflow. It's sort of like when they introduced the task assignments in comments on Google Docs. Suddenly you could put a comment in, but you could actually not just put a comment in, but assign it to somebody, and then they could go in and see that comment and then mark it off as a task that they completed. It's really moving into that project management, team management, workflow arena that is very, very effective. So I'm really looking forward to that. When are we going to be able to use that, Adam?
So rapid release is starting on November the 2nd, and scheduled release is starting on November the 16th. So this will be available to many users, but this will not be available to legacy G Suite Basic and Business customers, and it will also not be available to users with a personal Google account.
No problem. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. That's brilliant, and that's great that it's going to be available to most of the users out there as well. So that's really, really good. Okay, fantastic, Adam. What have we got next?
So next up, this is an admin update. So Google for Education Transformation Reports window is now open for customers worldwide. So Google for Education Transformation Reports are available for K through 12, so that's primary level over here in the UK. Google Workspace for Education customers worldwide at no cost. So transformation reports are only available in English at this time. So the reporting window is now open from November the 2nd, 2022 through to December the 31st, 2022. So from now up until the end of the year. Workspace admins will benefit from immediate access. So Google Workspace for Education super admins can log in today and immediately view their custom report. There's also real-time customization, so you can adjust settings in real time, including your 12-week product data reporting windows and the number of teachers and students in your organisation. But this report will be locked for editing after December 31st, 2022. So the transformation report is a free tool designed to help quantify your organisation's Google for Education implementation across Google's products and programs. So semester or term time based reports track usage trends over time and make it easy to understand how your organisation is using Google Workspace for Education, Chromebooks, and processing through education certification programs. So additionally, each report includes links to free resources aimed to support your Google implementation.
Very useful. Okay, so yeah, it's sort of giving you an idea of how much you're making use of Google, how much you're taking benefit, or how much you're taking advantage, of the different elements there of Google, and support for how to take advantage more, how to get more out of it. I think that would be very useful, provided that the teachers have time, or Google admins have time to look at the report, of course, but it would be pretty useful for us to run through this with a couple of people, I think, spring to mind straight away within our schools who would be open to running through this and looking at how this is implemented. So that's very good. Okay, and how do you access that, Adam?
Okay, so Google Workspace for Education super admins can log into the transformation report tool starting from November the 2nd to view their custom report. Upon login, admins should update their student enrollment and faculty count, customize the product reporting windows where you can choose the two 12-week periods of time, which is your current and previous, to make the most sense for your organisation. Graphs in the report will display data comparing usage across these two windows, and then you should click on View Report.
Okay, so that's in the reporting section. Great, okay, no problem. And are they, I think they're available now for everybody, aren't they? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, these transformation reports are available now for all customers. And so this is very much an education-based update. So this is not going to be available to Google Workspace Essentials, Business Starter, Business Standard, Business Plus, Enterprise Essentials, Enterprise Standard, Enterprise Plus, Frontline and Non-Profits, as well as G Suite Basic and Business customers. But it is there so everyone in education.
Yeah, just an education thing. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's absolutely brilliant, Adam. Thank you very much. I think that's the last update we've got, isn't it, Adam?
Yes, that's right.
Excellent. Well, that's it, everybody. That's everything that you need to know on the latest updates happening around Google Workspace. Remember that there's an audio version of this podcast available from your regular podcast provider. There is also a video version of this podcast available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. We have also used the transcribing feature that we mentioned on one of our previous updates with this episode. So we will either report on that next week, or we'll give you access to that in the description, depending on how good it is when we review it. Thank you very much for joining us this week.
And we'll be back again next Monday with more updates.
Goodbye.
Bye.